Hi, this is PD at BurgZerg Arcade at BurgZergArcade.com, and we're just going to continue on with our little hack and slash tutorial series. So where we left off, we had just actually started setting up our items to be spawned or to be created when the character or the mob spawns. And we went ahead and we actually have a line set up here to create an item, but we're not actually telling it what type of item to create. So we're actually just creating a random item. Here's where we actually want to start going in and telling it what item to create. And of course, we set up this enumeration down here to start it off. Now, one thing I did want to point out, if you actually started up the game, now that we've played around with those enumerations down there a bit, there's only two down here. There's a melee weapon and ranged weapon. And actually, not because of that, but up here where we're creating the item. Remember, we commented out the create armor part. And because of that, we're actually not generating armor in here anymore. And if we take a look, you can go ahead and open up all three chests if you don't believe me. I'll just let you do that. But I do want to enable that. So what I'm going to do is come down here. Since we already have it done, we are going to have to come down and split the armor according to the different types of armor that we have. But for now, I just want to uncomment this just so the armor is being implemented. And I'm going to come up here and make a new case for it. And of course, that's just simply going to be case item type dot armor colon, and then we're going to say item is equal to, well, actually we can just copy that commented out line. We'll post that in. There should be a curly brace there. We'll want to get rid of the commented part. Let's get rid of the item too. And of course, we do need a break statement. There we go. We should now be creating armor. That was something I looked at while the last video was encoding, and I did want to bring up. There we go. So now we're getting armor. So everything that we have done so far is still working, and we can start working on new stuff. So that should be all done. I'm going to come here and start throwing in some debug log statements. So we'll just start off debug.log. And let's start off by getting the item name. And, well, yeah, I'll actually just go ahead and just grab the name. So we're going to say melee weapon. Dot. And I think we have the name property right there. There we go. And, of course, I did forget my little plus sign here. There we go. That'll concatenate there. No error, so we'll go ahead. We'll start this up. I'm going to, well, let's not clear it. We created a bastard sword. Great. So it's going to be the first line. And I guess I could go ahead and turn the finite state machine debugs off for now. We might get into preprocessor directives for debugging. So we can just set it one spot, basically set whether or not we want these statements to pop up. We can set it to a flag either be true or false. And of course, if it's true, then we'll do it. So this time he's wielding a torch. So as you see, we are getting other items popping up here. Now he's wielding a small shield. That shouldn't be happening. Let's just stop that. We'll try it. Oh, it's because we're actually telling it to generate a small or random item again. I'm sorry, I completely forgot about that. Here's where we actually want to start telling it what to generate. So we're going to say item type dot melee weapon, and because now that we're passing in a parameter, we're going to be using a different function here. So let me just close these down, close them up a bit, just to clear some of the visual clutter. Okay, so when we wanted to create any item at random, and we don't care what type it is, we call this one, we pass in nothing. And we notice so they're called the exact same, and they return the exact same thing. They both return an item. But the difference is that this one here takes a property, not a property, sorry, a parameter, and the parameter is of item type. So if we actually pass in a type to create, it's going to call this function instead. So now we should not have them generating shields and stuff like that for us. So we start off sword. We'll do it again, sword, and one more time. Morning Star. Great, so he is making something random. Let's go ahead and try to implement something that will actually go ahead and equip now. We're going to come down here, and I'm just going to start off by equipping the melee weapon. Now, since I want this to work exactly the same way as it does for our player, because I do want to be able to move it back to our base character, and that way there, if I ever change something, I'll have to change it one spot. I'm going to come over to my PC class and take a look exactly how we're implementing it on our PC. So it's pretty simple. We have this property right here, equip weapon, and if we open it up, we have the getter and setter. So we can return whatever item it is. So basically, we got to look and see where this equipment array is, and this enumeration. And I just want to quickly go through. Here's the setting part where we actually want to set it. The getting, well, like I said, if we do actually ID the mob's weapon, if we allow that ability, we'll definitely want to be able to get that. But right now, my major focus is actually setting it. So we're going to go through, we're going to grab the equipment array, which I still want to keep even on my mob, because there might, like I said, be other items that we actually want to equip to our mob. And it might be kind of cool maybe later on to start putting on actual game objects onto our mob. So you could throw like a necklace or something like that onto your mob, and he'd be running around. This little necklace would be flapping around his neck, but it's just something extra you can add. So I do want to keep the equipment array. See, we're going to go through, we're going to check to see if the weapon mount child count is greater than 0. If it's greater than 0, we're going to go ahead and destroy what's there, and then we're going to go ahead and equip the one that's supposed to be equipped. Now I'm going to be spawning all my mobs with no weapon there, but I still might keep this line here. Simply because if he does switch between ranged and melee weapons, well, generally a right-handed person is going to hold the right or sword in the right hand, and if they shoot with a bow, they're going to shoot with the left hand. So it might actually want to keep this functionality in just to get rid of it. And I guess technically you don't. Well. Do you want to destroy it or just disable it? For now, I think we'll just stick to destroying it. So basically, this functionality is what we're going to want to keep. So we're going to want to have an equipment array and this item slot. So the equipment array is right up here, and it's just a bunch of items. And the size is equal to equipment slot.count, which is probably in here too. Right here, equipment slot. So here's all the different slots they can actually have their items in. So that's great. I'm actually going to move this here back to the base class right now. Well, no, just to keep it simple, I'm actually going to keep it here. I'm not going to move anything just yet. So basically, let's just cut and paste this into our mob just to get it working. And I'm going to leave a bunch of lines here. Actually, I'm going to leave it right before there. And once we actually get the item actually equipping to our character, then we'll go ahead and move it to where it's supposed to be. And I'm just going to quickly take a tab out of there. Alright, so there's going to be a lot of errors here. It's not going to know where a lot of these things are. And like I said, I just want to quickly get things working. So I'm going to make this new equipment array, which is going to be right here. I'm just going to go ahead and paste that right in up here and get rid of the private. Yes, I know it's local, but like I said, I just want to make sure it works, and then we'll move it after we're sure that everything is working. So let's go through. We're going to grab the mesh settings, melee path, yada yada yada. I think everything's good. Let's see if any errors are popping up in Unity itself. We are getting one. The name value. Alright. The item will not be value. It's going to be melee weapon. So I'll have to come in and put that down here. We'll clear. It seems to be good. Now if I spawn my mob, it should be deleting it and picking that item back up. Let's go take a look, see if he has something different than, I believe it was the hatch I used to pick. Whoops, hit the wrong key there. Yep, he's got a pick now. Great. So we are spawning a different item. He's after me. We'll go ahead, we'll stop that. We'll start it back up. And, well, I guess I could just go through the hierarchy here and take a look, but I just kind of like to see the mesh as well, just to make sure he's grabbing the right mesh. I don't see why it wouldn't, but if we look here, grab the hatchet. So, yeah, that's the hatchet, what we started with. And we'll actually know before he started with the Salifi. And this time he's got an axe. Let's not grab an axe. Let's try to grab something a little more exotic. Weak sword. Well, I guess that would have been quite distinctive. It has the red. Bastard sword's this big. I was kind of hoping for like a scimitar or a pitchfork or something like that. We'll try one more. We'll just go look, see what he's got. We've seen the pick. But you get the idea. Okay, we'll go look at the big bastard sword. He should be spotting that okay. Now I know if you go by like traditional D&D, I believe a bastard sword was a two-handed sword. But hey, that's the benefit of creating your own game, is you don't have to worry about that. And let's also just make sure that it's in the right spot, or at least it looks good in the character's hand. Now, sure, I could probably, like I said, fidget around a bit with getting things in the hand perfectly. But that's pretty good. That's passable. You know, when the thing's whacking on you, you're probably not going to be stopping to look exactly how it fits into his hand. But let's go ahead and open it up. And we want to grab the spawning realm. Here he is. Let's go to the weapon mount. We're going to have to scroll over a bit. We'll just move this out. And voila. And if we go ahead and look, we didn't make it public, did we? We did not. For the item, so we could go take a look. But anyway, so we now have the actual weapon being created. We actually, well, we haven't actually debugged out the values yet. We did one. We did the name. Let's take a quick look and see what the damages are. So let's do a debug. .log. And where are we putting the other one? We're putting the other one up here. I'm going to do it up here, just to keep them together. And I'm actually just going to copy it. And I'm going to go ahead and just typecast this as a weapon, because right now it is actually an item. And if we try to get to its max damage, say, or something that belongs to a weapon. So let's do max. We'll notice the only max showing up is durability. And let's just take a look here. Some of these just come naturally with being an object. But current durability, that's something on an item. And you can actually go ahead and open up the item class, and you'll see all these things in there for item. But you'll notice that there's none of the properties here for our weapon. That's because we actually have to typecast this back to a weapon. And there's probably a better way to do this, but one day when I was in a hurry trying to figure out how to convert a typecast back to what I wanted, this is what I stumbled across. It worked. It's a little dirty. Like I said, there's probably a better way to do it, but this does work. And until I actually get time to sit down and dig a little deeper into it, this is the way I'm going to do it. So we'll do like we did before, where we normally typecast in front. So we're going to change this over to a weapon, but you'll notice that we still can't get to it. The property we want, which we'll just do max damage, because we know all weapons have that. We still can't get to it, because what it's actually trying to do is, regardless of how far we go into the class over here, it's still going to try to typecast that as a weapon. So even if we did do max durability, we'll get an error here, because it's going to try to convert this max durability to a weapon, and you can't. It's just an int. And as you can see here, it tells you got an error. So what we actually have to do in order to typecast this over is specifically say what we're typecasting. So we'll put this in parentheses, showing that, you know, the typecast is specific to this object here. And then we'll grab the max damage. And as you can see, there we go. We have max damage and max range as well. And of course, if we save that off and come back, the error disappears. I'll just hit clear. We'll start this back up, and there we go. Max damage 9. And I'll start it back up again. Max damage 10 for the pick. And there we go. Now, I don't really like this way, and like I said, I'm sure there's probably a better way to do it, but honestly, for now I'm just going to use this because it does work. And once I start digging a little bit deeper into C# and get a better understanding of it, hopefully find a better way to do it. But anyway, that's all I really wanted to do in this one, is just actually get the actual item spawning and equipping to our player, and show that we actually have a way to access the properties on the item itself, because we're going to be needing those a little bit later on for the actual combat. But anyway, like always, if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and that lets me know that you want to see more. And I put them out quite regularly, so if you want to make sure that you don't miss any, make sure that you hit the subscribe button. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.